Hello and welcome to N Business, and you're watching N Business Icons. Today we have an inspirational woman with us. Her name is Vani Kola. Yes, she is very much from Hyderabad. After 22 years, she came back and started Kalari Capital. So let's welcome her. Hello ma'am, how are you doing?
I'm really glad to be here, Karuna.
And after 22 years, successful years, you're coming back. How is it?
I've now come back a long time ago. It's been close to 15 years since I came back in 2006 to focus on India's startup ecosystem, and what a phenomenal ride it has been. More than 100 unicorns in India. How would any of us have thought that we will really at this pinnacle? But it's just the beginning. If we think about the next decade to come, I think India has a very, very vibrant role to play on the global platform in terms of innovation, disruptive companies, as well as really creating the best startup ecosystem.
Coming to the startup ecosystem, we are seeing T-Hub as an ecosystem where a lot of startups come together. How do you see that?
One of the most important things for startups is peer learning, mentorship, inspiration, and really giving them confidence. And T-Hub does a phenomenal role. They provide that access to learn from each other. I also think that really having this kind of a accelerator within Telangana is unique, especially with the active support of the government. So I think that T-Hub has a very important role to play, not only in the startup ecosystem of Telangana, but to really attract the best of the founders from everywhere.
You yourself are born in Hyderabad. So tell us some of the fond memories of you.
The Hyderabad that I was in, and I grew up of course here, and I left in 1985, was a very different Hyderabad. It was a smaller town, and I went to engineering college in Usmania. Before that I went to Madapati Hanumantrao Girls School in Narayanguda. So these were all our haunts. Movie near Chikatpalli and RTC Nagar, you know, habits for that fun shopping. Yeah. So but Hyderabad of that time was really a small town. We knew the whole city. We would take public buses, wasn't as crowded. Hyderabad of today is a strong cosmopolitan city that's
having
holds
all the
its
best brands.
Yeah, and can hold its best anywhere in the world. You know?
Yeah. So how did you get this idea of Kalari Capital? Whose brainchild was this?
It was my brainchild, but really I have been an engineer. I mentioned I went to Usmania engineering here. I'm a core geek person, product person, technology person. Even today, that's what really excites me a lot. And then I think we took a step. I took a step where, as an entrepreneur, right, starting a software company. This was when I was working in Silicon Valley, and then it just kind of built from there. When I thought about what next in my life, really creating the startup opportunity from ground up and being part of seeing that ecosystem grow was something that appealed to my own entrepreneurial senses. So, so to me, I see myself really as a technology person, and technology has an important role in solving for critical problems of our society and for our world.
You shared your memories in Hyderabad. So did you go back to your school where you studied or college, and did you mentor some of the students in technology?
I haven't mentored students from my college directly, if that is your question, but I have gone to the campus and the school in the past.
When we Google about Vani and we see mother of venture capital investing in India, so you got this name. What do you think about it?
I don't know. I don't quite think of myself like that. I'm a investor, of course, and I started early in this industry. But my motivation is really about creating great companies that emerge from India. I think Indian founders have a great opportunity to build global companies, and I'm very, very enthusiastic about it. we of course had the history of the IT services companies. Then, you know, there was a question, can we really build product companies? Now great product companies have been built. The question of, can we build for the world? Can we really have innovation based companies from India? And can we really build great global brands? I think we can, and that's the excitement for the next decade, 2 decades, where the India opportunity will be very, very vibrant for founders.
What do you look at when spotting the startups at the early stage?
At an early stage of a company, it's really hard to predict who's going to be a winner. Let's take the first problem. Do you have actually a real problem you're working on? And many times there will be 10 companies that are working on the same problem. Now among these companies, which company is going to really become successful, right? So one, like I said, is this really the right big idea? But that actually is many times a little bit easier to research, analyze. Now the question is, which team can really build for this opportunity and create something massive? That is hard to predict early on, because startups require constantly ability to reinvent themselves. As they learn from the market, they'll have to continue to make some pivots in order to gain that leadership position. And the team's ability to continue to build a leadership team that scales and has a relentless focus on execution. So a founder has to really transform and become a leader, just as the company has to go from an idea and become an enterprise. So how and what the founder's role is really the most important thing. So apart from the large idea analysis, it's really the founder analysis that is a judgment factor to driving my investment decision.
So how do you raise funds for Kalari?
That's usually a very private placement. We have a small group of LPs. LPs are really investors into venture capital funds. Today more and more investment is coming from India itself. Of course, there is a tremendous amount of global interest also into investing into venture firms. There is a number, when I started in 2006, there were hardly 4 or 5 venture firms. Today there are at least 20 good venture firms.
When you have little perspective on the funding, especially for the startups, how do you see this in future?
Currently there is this word that's being coined, funding winter. There is a bit of a setback in enthusiasm for funding. I think it was necessary. Last couple of years has been a lot of hype also a little bit, and valuations that had to get a little adjusted. But overall, I don't look at things from this month, this quarter, or even this year. I look at it from over the longer perspective. Do we really have an opportunity to create meaningful, valuable companies? So from that perspective, I think that funding will continue to be, capital will continue to be available in India, and more capital will flow into India.
So what is CXXO program? Can you explain?
CXXO is a program that's very close to my heart. It is about senior women leaders that we want to nurture and groom. The XX is for the female chromosome, so hence CXXO. I am asked all the time why there are such few women founders in the startup ecosystem, and that is true, but we have to be action oriented. We can debate the problem for a long time, but what is the solution? And I don't have a simple fixed solution where we can solve it. Each of us will have to do what we can. So the CXXO is about providing capital, community, and conversations, content to women. So nurturing emerging women leadership in startup ecosystem is what the program is all about.
What do you have to tell women who want to get into the business but they don't have capital?
Whether it's women or men, capital is only one part of what makes successful. When you have customers, capital will come. You have to have the right product, you have to have the right customers, and when that happens, capital will unlock itself. Capital is a means to an end. There has never been a great company created just because they have access to capital. So, focus on building the right product, focus on building something that the customer loves and that you have great unit economics. Then you will be able to build a successful company.
When you started, what were your challenges and how did you cope up with them?
I mean, setbacks are an integral part of life, and every setback in a way is probably a blessing. I know it doesn't feel that way when we are going through it. All of us by nature don't want change, we want the status quo. But I have found that the biggest setbacks have been the learning initiative for me to even discover what I am capable of, even get to know myself in a way that I think I would have been underconfident to expect. So overall, I think setbacks are a process for you to overcome your limitations and be able to rise above that and find new heights that you can scale. I don't think anyone who achieves anything meaningful in life has had the luxury of not having setbacks. So you have to treat setbacks as a welcome towards achieving your full destiny and fulfilling your potential.
Coming to your personal life, how do you keep your heart happy? Do you do any meditation for that?
You can see that I'm a fairly happy person. I'm a peaceful person. I usually don't get stressed about too many things. I don't go to bed with worries on my mind. For me, I started meditating when I started my first company actually, almost 25 years ago, and the daily practice of really grounding myself, and I practice this heartfulness meditation. In fact, this beautiful surroundings we are part of is part of heartfulness ashram here in Hyderabad. It's called Kana Shantivanam. You can look it up. But the heartfulness practice has been very important to me as my start of the day, and it allows me to ground myself to truly, deal with everything that comes on any given day. And I think at the end of the day, if you can keep your focus and compartmentalize, be able to figure out what is your most important priority and don't let your mind distract, and you can concentrate on problem solving, you'll be surprised how much can actually get done. And sometimes we spend too much time worrying about a problem versus solving for it. So meditation has allowed me these tools to truly achieve my best and not be as tightly tuned into results. Results are very important, but what I mean by that is we have anxiety about getting everything here and now, and my practice of meditation allows me to sort of really do the work and wait for the results to emerge.
True.
Some things work as we plan, some things don't work.
True.
And we have to have a bigger perspective to life. We have to sort of really feel like, how do we find a purpose in life? And the purpose is bigger than Kalari, purpose is bigger than this one company.
Absolutely.
And this problem. See, in a...
This is all materialistic.
Yeah. In a job like mine, every day there will be some conflict. I don't know when it will come, what it will be, but invariably there will be some conflict I have to deal with.
Yeah.
How do you deal with it in a way that you are not killing your health all the time,
True.
And you just have to deal with it. That's
It's
it.
just the priority.
Yeah, it's a problem, I will deal with it, and that's it, right? So that I think is what this allows.
Yeah.
And as you can see, when you come here, already there is this whole sort of sense of peace and calm.
Positivity, yeah.
And when you have that, you are able to also think better and solve for better.
Correct.
A mind that is restless cannot grasp solutions.
True, absolutely.
You know?
What is your advice to the young entrepreneurs?
What's my advice to young entrepreneurs? You have to be bold to dream. And there will be many people who will say no, and you have to really believe in yourself. Self-belief, dream big, be bold to act. So that's my advice. Go achieve your life and create impact. Make something happen and don't be afraid.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for making time for us.
Very welcome.
Thank you. So that was Vani Kola. She says that dream big, be bold, and definitely you will be successful. Keep watching N Business.